Here today with my friend Nancy Matthews, whom I've known 5-ish or so years now. And I'm
It's
here to
probably
tell
it's
you,
probably 7 years because
wow, where'd the time go?
however long you think things are, add 2 years.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Hi, everybody.
Nancy truly is the expert when it comes to sales. I have learned so much from her. And so today we get to ask her some questions. And if you would like to be involved as well, you can go ahead and type your question in the comments, and we should see it and be able to ask your question while Nancy is live here. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome. You are the queen of all of these things. And I really want to honor you for what you do to show up and make it easier for people to get their message out, to convey what they're about and what they offer so that they can do more business. You are extraordinary, my friend.
Thank you, and I enjoy it tremendously.
It shows.
So let's jump in.
Okay.
You are the queen of sales. You really are. So tell me, what are a few of the mistakes that you see business owners make when it comes to sales?
So I would say there's 3 mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So, mistake number 1 would be going in for the sale too fast. It's kind of like dating. I'm sure you've heard the analogy.
Yes.
A business is about building the relationship. So, for example, I was teaching about sales, and somebody said, "I don't know what to do. I'm making connections on social media, and I'm sending message. I sent a message to this woman, and she said, 'Don't ever contact me again.'" I was like,
Wow, that's
"Oh,
pretty harsh.
that is pretty harsh." And she said, and I don't know why she would have done that because, I reached out, I sent a message. I think it was Facebook, it might have been LinkedIn. Sent a message, "Hi, we met at such and such event, and I wanted to connect with you here on the social media." And the woman says, "Oh, that's great. I'm looking forward to getting to know you." Right? So it's back and
Right?
forth. Her
Yeah.
next thing was, "Hey, I'm also in blah, blah, blah business. Do you want to sign up for my program?" The very next
Oh,
thing, like way too soon,
yeah, that's way too abrupt.
way too abrupt. And not only do people do this on social media networking and messaging there, it also happens when you're making phone calls, when they're making follow-up phone calls. And so what occurs is as a result of, and this is the second mistake. So, the mistake number 1, you go in too fast trying to make a sale. Mistake number 2 is because you have had that experience and felt rejected, dejected, not good enough, all the other stuff that can come with it. You stop making reach out connections to people.
Oh, because now you're afraid of the result.
Right, right. And now you don't want to seem pushy or bother people. So you pull back and you don't make any connection calls. And
Well,
then,
logically
mhm,
thinking, if you
yeah,
make no connection calls, how are you going to make any sales?
you're, here's how people hope it's going to be. They send out emails and post their offers on social media.
Uh, well,
That,
Nancy, can
mhm.
you tell me how many real sales you have made from a social media post?
Yes, I can. And it's a little bit different after you've built up some brand awareness and credibility.
This
So
is
that
true.
the numbers that I share with you right now from my experience will be different than somebody who's just starting out in the first 1 to 2, 3 years of business, because you may not have built up enough credibility and reputation. And think of it in this way. If Oprah Winfrey was to post something on social media to sell, and it could be $100, $500, even up to a couple of $1,000. If she posts something for sale, you if you like her and you like what the offer is, you're going to buy it because you trust her. You already have a relationship with her by virtue of her 40-year history.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're relatively new and starting out and you post something on social media for sale, if it's over $100, you are not likely to make a direct sale from that because you haven't built up enough relationship. And that's why you want to get on a Zoom meeting or a phone call or do live presentations to build that relationship and build that trust. That said, as a result of posting on social media for something for sale, I've made thousands of dollars on individual products, memberships that I've done for each one of those that I'm talking about. And I still don't rely on that, especially for my
Yes.
bigger offerings.
Yes. Yes. And I can share that from my web design over the years, because I really haven't been focusing on Ask Dottie until the last few years.
Hmm.
But I've maybe sold 5 websites directly from social media. But
Hmm.
really, it was the call that came from social media. And then it was the conversation that I had when they called that sold it.
Right. It wasn't, you said, hire me to do a website, click here, and they paid thousands of dollars. Hire,
No,
hire me to do a website, click here to schedule an appointment with me. Then we talk, then the sale happens.
actually, it wasn't even that. You know what it
Ah.
was, Nancy? It was people that I've met with in person networking. So I actually know people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that one of their connections would say, "Hey, do you know anybody that does websites?" And they would put my name in and then they would call me.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't even anything I posted per se, but it was the relationships I have already built
Mm-hmm.
that sold those.
Exactly. So that was a referral. That person, when they come into your business, comes with a higher level of trust than a stranger who just happens to be scrolling through social media,
Exactly.
because you're borrowing the credibility of the person that referred you. So it's a little bit different
Yes, I
and
agree.
important. So, for example, in that scenario, you built up relationship, trust, and reputation with the people that you were networking with, meeting with, you had done work for. So all of that cachet comes with you to the next client, and that's important. So when we talk about the Prosperity Accelerator, because I don't know if you can put a message in the chat. Tell me, would you like to have more sales? Let me know. Tell me a yes in the chat if you would love to have more sales. If you would love for sales to be easy, fun, and natural, right? That's what we all want. Nobody wants to be salesy or pushy, right?
I
So,
know I don't.
no, none of us do. And I don't want you to. I want you to show up authentically, committed to make a difference for the people you serve, but not attached to whether or not they buy from you. That's not your job. Your job is to inform them and to ask questions to uncover if they have a need for your products and services.
Nancy,
Good.
yesterday
Mm-hmm.
I took a phone call from a lady who was referred to me, and she wasn't a good fit. And
Yeah.
more importantly, I wasn't a good fit for her. So I referred her off to somebody else I know.
Beautiful.
But
Beautiful.
yeah,
And
if you don't ask those questions, you won't know.
yeah, and again, here's another layer of the mistake that people make is they'll get on a discovery call or a follow-up call and maybe ask one or two questions, but they haven't really asked the deeper questions that will have somebody self-identify the need for their products or services. So they ask one or two questions, make an assumption because you looked over your prospect list, let's say, and he's like, oh, this person's the perfect fit. And I'm going to use a scenario here. Let's say you're a health coach and you met somebody at a networking event who happens to be overweight, out of breath. You can tell they're not in good health. When you call to make that follow-up phone call, you don't want to say, well, hi, Betsy, or whatever their name is. I noticed you're a bit overweight. Actually, it must be really hard for you. Would you like to do my health coaching program? Like, hello.
Super rude.
Super rude. And while you may pre identify or pre qualify people as good candidates for you and ideal clients, they're really only an ideal client when they're ready to make the changes that will get them the results you know they can bring.
Yes.
So that's part of asking those really good questions when you're having a conversation with someone that will have them reveal whether or not they are ready. Once they do that and self identify, then you can move to that next level of exploring what it will look like to work together.
So is the really deep questions the mistake number 3, or is there one more mistake we got?
So, well, mistake number 1 is going in too fast. So that's part of
Mhm.
it. Mistake number 2 is not making any connection calls. And then mistake number 3 is what I would refer to as not being prepared to receive. So here's what,
Oh,
yeah. So here's what I mean by that. You meet somebody, you at a wherever you are, you have a follow-up call with them and they say, "Oh, after you've, uncovered they probably could use, your services or your products." And then you go like this in the conversation. They say, "Wow, I'd really love to know how I can work with you." And then you say, "Well, let me go ahead and put a proposal together and I'll get back with you." Let me just say,
oh.
yeah.
So they weren't ready to just give them a link or whatever.
Well, not only just give them a link, but be able to prescribe the solution that you'll offer. And here's the analogy we can take a look at. If when you go to the doctor and then they do a whole bunch of tests and they come up and they find out, yes, you need to make some changes, you want that doctor to tell you right now what the prescribed solution is. You don't
Hmm.
go home and have to wait and put something together and then, go back again, do you? No, you want the answer. When you're in a really powerful consultative sales conversation, you're sitting there and somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready." You probably help them in that conversation overcome some of their own limiting beliefs or challenges or obstacles that were getting in their way. They're ready to go. And then you tell them to wait.
Yes.
So, what happens is perhaps, especially if you have a higher priced solution that you offer, and this primarily is when you're doing business to consumer. There's a slightly different process if you're doing business to business, and we can touch on that too. But if you're in that consultation, and let's use the health coach example again, and you've asked the questions, they say, how could, I'd love to explore how we could work together. And you're like, all right, I'll get back to you with a proposal. And then you're trying to figure out and customize how you're going to serve this person. You email them your proposal that says it's a $6,000 coaching program, and they go, "Whoa, I got sticker shock."
Hmm.
They're going to go join Jenny Craig instead, right? Or Weight Watchers or something.
So is this a proponent for having pre-done packages that you can fit people into? Is that an advantage of that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I teach something, and you know about this.
Yes.
I teach something that I call funnelology. And what that is beginning with the end in mind. So I want every single person to be completely prepared to serve their clients and customers at the highest level and receive at the highest level as well.
Hmm.
So the best way to do that is to imagine you are sitting with your ideal client. And when I say ideal client, they have every problem that you're an expert in solving. They're eager and willing to make the changes and involved in the process of working with you. And they have the money to happily pay you. Isn't that an ideal client?
That is an ideal client, yes.
Right?
Especially that last part.
Exactly, exactly. So imagine you were having a conversation with this ideal client and they say, "Oh my gosh, yes, please tell me, how can you get me all the things that I just said I wanted?" Well, I want you to pre-plan, what would that look like? Would it be coaching sessions? Would it be certain products you'd want them to use? Would it be meeting in a group? Would it be meeting individually? And pre-plan, know in your mind what that optimal solution, biggest package is. Then I'll teach you, and I'm going to give you a link to a free training that'll dive deeper into all of this for you.
Okay.
So that will then give you, when you start with this bigger package, let's say it's a $6,000 program. And they're like, ooh, I wasn't really prepared for that. Well, based upon what you shared with me, is what I would say, based upon what you've shared with me and the results you said you want, let me just double check. Did you say that you were looking to, hopefully reduce some of the medications you're taking, to be able to get the support around when you feel like you want to eat something and get rid of those cravings? And we're going to take care of getting rid of those cravings. And your son's wedding is coming up, and you said you'd really like to be rocking and looking super hot when you see your ex-husband. Right? Those are the things that we do, right? And that's in 3 months' time. So if my 1-year program doesn't feel like the right fit, let's at the very minimum get you started with the 3 months. That's only an investment of $1,500, and we can get started right away. Wouldn't you love to have today be that turning point where you finally get to say you took control of your health again? That's it.
You are so good at that, Nancy.
Thank you. And I am really, really good at it because I so care about people getting results. And I love to teach about making sales easy, fun, and natural. I love to teach that because I know for every single person who is resisting making sales and follow-up phone calls, who doesn't like it, who thinks it's sleazy, who's struggling in their business because they're not making enough sales, for every single one of you, there are 10, 15, 20, or 100 people who need exactly what suffering because you didn't learn this yet. I want you to learn this so that you can make the difference you're here to make and make a whole bunch of money in the process.
Yeah, so think of all those people you can't help because you're letting your fear control what you do.
Mm-hmm. And some people don't even recognize it as fear. One of the things that I've seen is, as we've been shifting the way people do business, in my experience, to a more cooperative and collaborative way of being, with the push sales that used to take place. I think one of the reasons we didn't like sales at one time was we had that pushy car salesman, furniture salesman, people down the street, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. Like, whoa, get back, right? We've had those experiences and we don't want to do that to others. So we think it's one thing. So it's fear, it's misconceptions, it's a little bit of self-doubt. Right, that's the other thing. Like, especially if you're just starting out, you wonder, am I good enough? Can I really do this? And I say you can, because if you have a desire to do it, that desire is seeking expression.
It is.
Yeah.
So I've got a ton more questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
But if there's anybody out in the Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn land who would like to put a comment or a question in the comments, we will see that. We've seen a few people pop in their observations here, so that's awesome. So if you want your question asked, please feel free to put that into the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nancy, you have gone over the 3 biggest mistakes people make, and you have put in there the whole funnelology thing, that concept, yes, that allows us to easily make a down sale, I guess is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a few more tips that our audience can use to just make sales easier?
Yes. And I'm going to bridge this answer with my overall life and business philosophy, which is the one philosophy.
Yes.
So the one philosophy is about treating each and every person that you see and meet with that same level of excitement and enthusiasm and interest as you do when you think someone is the one. All right, we can dive deeper into that. Maybe you'll have me back on the show and we'll talk more about that. But
And the one in this case would be your ideal customer, right?
no, not
No.
actually. No,
Okay.
that's not where this is. So when you live the one philosophy, it comes with the belief and the faith that every single person that crosses your path and you have an interaction with, there is some meaning in it. It's not just random. That
Mm.
the reason these two human beings have come together in this time and space, there's something here for us each to discover about each other. And
Okay.
it could be doing business with each other. It could be you giving me the place where I can take my grandchild for dance lessons. It could be giving me a referral to the best website person ever, like happened between the person that got the referral to work with you. He was the
Yes.
one for him that day. So living the one philosophy is about stepping out in faith that if we treat each and every person with that curiosity and excitement, I wonder what's here for us to discover about each other today, combined with knowing how to ask questions that will have someone reveal if they are meant to do business with you, have them self-qualify or not, self-identify
Hmm.
need for your service. When you treat every single person with that level of curiosity and enthusiasm, and then you're skilled in asking really good questions, the doing business will reveal itself. So here's the tip is to start connecting. Pick up your phone, right? Pick up your phone, scroll through your contact list, and pick 3 people today that you're going to send a quick text message to and say, hey, this is Nancy. We haven't connected in a while. You want to jump on when do you have time to jump on a quick call or a Zoom? That's it. Do that for 3 people.
Okay.
When you get on that call or Zoom, however it is, I want you to show up and be so curious and interested in them, what's happening in their lives, what's going on, coupled with you being excited about who you are and what you do in your business to make a difference in the lives of others.
Okay.
Whether there's a spark of doing business together is not your responsibility. That will happen naturally. So reach out to people because you care, not because you see them as a cash cow.
And it may be somebody they know
Of
that
course it is.
they can refer to you.
Yeah, well, and let me tell you one of my favorite stories about using this process. It was back in 2009, and my friend Karen, that we grew up together in Brooklyn, New York, and we've been friends since we were 5 years old. And we typically connect 1 to 3 or 4 times a year, something like that. It was the holiday time, and I hadn't talked to her in a while, so I just reached out to say happy holidays, Karen. So we get on a call and she tells me, I ask what's going on with her life, and she tells me where she's doing, blah, 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 about her kids. And she's like, so what's happening with you? And I was like, oh my God, I got to tell you how excited I am. I'm launching this new book. It's called Visionaries with Guts, and I'm having different authors contribute to the book. And she's like, really? I want to know more about that. I had zero intention of inviting her to be in the book when I called her. Zero. And it turned into a $3,000 sale.
Wow.
Correct. Because I was just calling because I cared about her. I was prepared to receive. I knew what I had that makes a difference in the lives of others. I was excited about what I was working on, and
Hmm.
she asked to buy it.
So
If we
she's in
did
your
this,
book.
yeah, she's in the book. Yeah, she's in the Visionaries with Guts book. Um, so here, that's the thing. So take on this challenge. Reach out to 3 people in your phone and simply call with the energy of caring about them and being curious. and let them know what you're up to, because that's the law of reciprocity. You're going to ask all about them, and then they're going to ask all about you.
Mm-hmm.
And be positive, be excited about what it is that you're bringing to the world to make a difference in the lives of others. And they will then say, wow, that's really awesome. Tell me more about that.
That is a
That's it.
great tip.
Yeah, it works really well.
And we are approaching with just 5 minutes left.
I know, I
So
see
again,
that.
if anybody has a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. And I know, Nancy, that you've got something really cool coming up to do with sales. Would you like to share that?
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am committed to teaching as many people as possible this process, because it will set you free and set the people that you're meant to be serving free from whatever they're going through, that you're the solution for. So, twice a year, we host a 2-day live event called the Sales and Marketing Boot Camp. And that's coming up March 17th and 18th. And we'll provide the links for you to get that. And come to the workshop for sure. And I don't want anyone to miss out on what I call the anatomy of the impact focused sales process. And that's what we're going to be doing at the workshop, is dialing into these 12 different steps in the process. And when I say 12, it's easy. Step 1 is pick up the phone. Step 2 is ask some questions. Step 3 is the magic phrase, which you'll get when you do 2 things. Number 1, you want to go to womensprosperinetwork.com/impact-sales. And that's going to give you a 13-minute video training on how to make sales more fun and easy. And I'll break down this 12-step process. Then when you come to the workshop, and once you get the free gift, I'll make sure I send you the info for the workshop. Once you get the video, I'm going to take you step by step through the process. And then coming to the workshop, we actually do role playing and practice, because I got to tell you, as smooth and as easy as it is for me right now, I'm skilled. I've been practicing this for almost 20 years. Actually, I have been doing it for 20 years. I just realized 20 years in this. And the way that you get good is being able to practice in an environment where it's okay to screw it up.
Yes.
Until you get it right.
Where it really doesn't matter.
Right. And oh, by the way, you'll end up selling some things anyway, because that's what you have is good. Even if what you have is so good that if you come to someone with the heart and intention and a light energy, being committed to make a difference, but not attached to the sale, you will make so much more money. And you could even screw it up. But if that's your heart and your intention, it will all happen, and you'll be served well by being the one for others.
That's right. And if that person is the one for you and you screw it up, it won't matter.
Exactly.
They're still the one.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. It works out beautifully.
So after this broadcast is over with, we will put the link for that in the chat. So please revisit this a little bit later and you can get that link. We are just a few minutes out. Is there anything else you would like to leave our audience with? Any words of wisdom from Miss Nancy Matthews?
Oh, so many come to mind. And it really is about tap into why you're doing what you're doing, and think about that person that's out there struggling or suffering or feeling dissatisfied, who really, really needs you. And you're only going to find and discover them by staying in connection with people. So yeah, social media is important, website's important, but nothing is more important than being direct with people, because that's who needs you and that's who pays you. So get out there and be with more people.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I so
Thank
appreciate you sharing your time and your wisdom with us today on Ask the Expert.
It was fun. Thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Get out there and be the one.
Yay!